Greetings, everyone. This is Rocket on Spot Connection with another installment of Deck Overview. This time we'll be looking at my recently completed and sleeved Gruul Stompy Beatdown. And like every other deck that has been covered and will be covered with a deck overview, a full deck list can be linked to full deck list on Moxfield can be found in the description right below. Anyway, so first off, before we actually get into the deck itself, there's a bit of a story, the background behind it. So when I recently started working on building commander decks because everything seemed like a great idea. It's kind of like that meme, The card would pass by like, hey, is this a good card for a commander deck? So, but I knew I wanted to make a Gruul deck, and I was working on it little by little. I had some pieces for it put together and set aside. As I immersed myself more in Magic discourse and content, I saw Creator of Behemoth mentioned quite a bit, and so I thought, it's not something new, I don't think. But so I looked it up and saw what set it was from. Maybe I've got a copy of that. I'll have to look. Sure enough, I did. So, as the idea of building a mono green beast deck had come to mind, I thought, well, let's do that. Hey, we got that Cultivated Colossus from Crimson Vow. So yeah, why not? Those will be in there. They'll be my big, my really big ones. But it. Much like with my Gruul deck, it was kind of going, even when it was kind of just, I couldn't, finding everything to make it work right just wasn't clicking. So, but I thought, hey, why not make it a Gruul deck? And so started working on that, and then again it just kind of, added a few new things to it, but nothing spectacular. Now I had an epiphany. Why not take the two Gruul decks and combine them into one? And once I did that, very suddenly, everything it's like everything just started to fall into place. So figure exactly what was needed through the whole shebang. And so It got to a point where about a month or so ago, I just needed one card, and I knew exactly what set to find that card in, and I took a chance, bought a boost for that set, and there it was. The deck was finished. Now I just needed to get some sleeves, which I did eventually. So let's take a look. So now, in my time working on the deck, well, at least with the Gruul Beatdown deck I was working on initially, the commander started off as Targnar Demon Fang Null. But to be fair, it just wasn't clicking. So I thought to myself, why not change it out for somebody else? And I had been looking, with Domery United being on the horizon, I was looking through a lot of the stuff from Dominaria. And I thought, hey, why not instead Grand Warlord Raid. So Grand Warlord Rada is our commander. She is a legendary elf warrior with haste for two and a red and a green. Power toughness of 3/4. Whenever one or more creatures you control attack, add that much mana in any combination of red and or green. Until end of turn, you don't lose this mana as steps and phases end. So yeah, quick look at her. She's a rare from the Dominaria set. There's actually a new version. This is the third version, or second. This is the second version of Raid, as far as I recall. I think Planar Chaos had the initial one, and then there's a new version in Dominaria United. Anyway, so again, we're not going to go through the entirety of the deck, but we got some small creatures like a Raging Goblin, Birds of Paradise, Land of War Elves, Essence Warden, but yeah. So we also got it's there's no real focus to the creatures. Like I'm not focusing on creatures that have Gruul related abilities such as Blood Rush or what was that other one? Bloodthirst, not Blood Rush, Bloodthirst. Or do I have any with the other one? Probably not. No, I don't. Okay. But yeah, not focusing on any of the Gruul related abilities, just building a deck full of big red that had a lot of big red and green creatures and having them that can, do a lot of damage. So some of our biggies, we've got Ilharg the Raised Boar. Ilharg here is a 6/6 legendary boar god for 3 and 2 red. He's got trample. Whenever he attacks, you may put a creature card from your hand onto the battlefield tapped and attacking. Return that creature to your hand at the beginning of the next end step. When Ilharg dies or is put into exile from the battlefield, you may put it in its owner's library, third from the top. Okay. Then we've got Itali, Primal Storm. Itali is a 6/6 legendary Elder Dinosaur for 4 and 2 red. Whenever it attacks, exile the top card from each player's library. Then you may cast any number of non-land cards exiled this way without paying their mana costs. That can be useful. It's always fun to say, that's a nice card you got, opponent. I'm gonna play that against you. We got ourselves a Hellkite Tyrant. There's another big one that's gonna come along and smash faces. So Hellkite Tyrant being a 6/5 dragon with flying and trample for 4 and 2 red. When it deals combat damage to a player, gain control of all artifacts that player controls. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you control 20 or more artifacts, you win the game. That can definitely be a good one for going up against, say, an Esper artifact deck. It's kind of, having suddenly all the artifacts. We've also got Kamal Pit Fighter from 10th edition. I've got one of the ones from, I don't remember the name of the initial block that featured Kamal, but I've got one copy of that, but I do kind of prefer the modern frames. So Kamal is a 6/1 legendary human barbarian with haste for 4 and 2 red. He can be tapped to deal 3 damage to target creature or player. We've also got a favorite red creature of mine, Skargan Firebird, which is also was initially a Gruul stamped creature. So Skargan Firebird is a 3/3 Phoenix with Bloodthirst 3 for 4 and 2 red. It also has flying, obviously. So Bloodthirst. So with Bloodthirst 3, if an opponent was dealt damage this turn, this creature enters the battlefield with 3 +1/+1 counters on it. For 3 red, you can return Skargan Firebird from your graveyard to your hand. This ability can only be activated if an opponent was dealt damage this turn. Okay. We got an old favorite, Ball of Lightning. It's a 6/1 elemental with trample for 3 red. It has haste. At the beginning of your end step, sacrifice ball lightning. Okay. Got a Chroma Angel of Fury, a 6/6 legendary angel with flying, trample, protection from white, protection from blue. Can't be countered for 5 and 3 red. For 1 red, she gets +1/+0 until end of turn. She also has the morph ability for 3 and 3 red, for 3 colorless and 3 red. Okay. Then when it comes to green biggies, also we also got a few important. We get an important non-biggie, and that's Azusa, Lost but Seeking. Always handy for to boost to ramp up your mana. Being able to play up to 2 additional lands every turn is always nice. Well, and to get some of those big creatures, we've also got the Wonvoli Beast Tracker, a 2/1 Human Scout for 1 and 2 green. When it enters the battlefield, search your library for a creature card with Death Touch, Hexproof, Reach, or Trample, and reveal it. Shuffle your library and put that card on top of it. Okay. Then we got Surak the Hunt Caller. Kind of get into the biggies here. Surak is a 5/4 legendary human warrior for 2 and 2 green. Has the formidable key phrase. Beginning of your combat on your turn, if creatures you control have total power 8 or greater, target creature you control gains haste until end of turn. That can be useful for making sure to quickly get your quickly put the smack down. Then we've got Soul of the Harvest, which can help with card advantage. Soul of the Harvest is a 6/6 elemental with trample for 4 and 2 green. Whenever another non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control, draw a card. Or you may draw a card. Galta Primal Hunger, who is a 12/12 legendary Elder Dinosaur for 10 and 2 green. Costs X colorless less to cast, where X is the total power of creatures you control, and Galta's got trample too. Then we've got the aforementioned Cultivator Colossus. Cultivator Colossus is a XX plant beast with trample for 4 and 3 green. Power toughness are each equal to the number of lands you control. And when it enters the battlefield, you may put a land from your hand onto the battlefield tapped. If you do, draw a card and repeat this process. So when you cast Cultivator Colossus, you've got lands in hand. You can then play one and then put one onto the battlefield tapped, draw a card. You still got lands. Oh, hey. You just keep going until you don't have lands in hand. Then we've got the aforementioned Craterhoof Behemoth. I should mention also that when I looked in the store that I had Craterhoof, I was quite surprised to learn that not only did I have it, I had it in foil. So Craterhoof Behemoth is a 5/5 beast with haste for 5 and 3 green. When it enters the battlefield, creatures you control gain trample and get +X until end of turn, where X is the number of creatures you control. That can be very useful. Then we have the Endray's Forerunners. These bad boys are a 7/7 boar with vigilance, trample, and haste for 5 and 3 green. When they enter the battlefield, other creatures you control get +2/+2 and gain vigilance and trample until end of turn. Okay, alright. And a few other, got some multicolor things that do nice things but not great things. Then we've got a few that do some they're going to be pretty hard hitting. such as Harbinger of the Hunt. This is the alternate art foil from the Dragon Structure theme, red-green theme deck. But it's a Harbinger of the Hunt is a 5/3 dragon with flying for 3, a red and a green. For 2 and a red, it deals 1 damage to each creature without flying. For 2 and a green, it deals 1 damage to each other creature with flying. Okay. Then we've got Dragon Lord of Tarka, rounding out all our creatures. Dragon Lord of Tarka is an 8/8 legendary Elder Dragon with flying and trample for 5, a red and a green. When a Tarka enters the battlefield, it deals 5 damage divided as you choose among any number of target creatures and or planeswalkers your opponents control. It's nice to, do some damage to creatures, though a little bit better would be if you could also do it to deal damage to opponents. We've also got 3 planeswalkers in the deck. We've got Chandra the Firebrand, who's a legendary who's a planeswalker that costs 3 and a red. She has an starting loyalty of 3. Add 1 loyalty. She deals 1 damage to target creature or player. -2 loyalty. When you cast your next instant or sorcery spell this turn, copy that spell. You may choose new targets for the copy. -6. Chandra the Firebrand deals 4 damage to each of up to 6 target creatures and or players. We've got 2 versions of Domery Raid. Got Domery Anarchabolus from War of the Spark. A legendary planeswalker for 1, a red and a green. Starting loyalty of 3, +1, add 1 red or 1 green. Creature spells you cast this turn can't be countered. Subtract 2. Target creature you control fights target creature you don't control. Also, he has an additional non-costed ability. Creatures you control get +1/+1. A lot of the planeswalkers in War of the Spark, in fact, I think all of them had a non-costed ability. And there was a thing for a little while where that was becoming a little common on other planeswalkers. It still happens, but nowhere near as frequently as in War of the Spark. And then we've got Domery Chaosbringer, the booster Domery from Ravnica Allegiance. He costs 2 a red and a green. Starting loyalty of 5, +1, add 1 red or 1 red, 1 red or 1 green. If this mana is spent on a creature, it gains. It gains riot. Okay. So -3. Look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal up to 2 creatures from among them, and put them in your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in random order. Then -8, you get an emblem with. At the end of your end step, create a 4/4 red-green beast creature with trample. Okay. Creature tokens, always fun. Don't have much in the way of artifacts. In fact, it's all mana artifacts. Got the obligatory Soul Ring, Gruul Signet, Manolith, Iron Mirror, Copper Mirror, and Arcane Signet. Nothing special. Well, now one of the big things is doing damage to opponents. So we have, to help with that, Warstorm Surge. Whenever it's an enchantment for 5 and a red. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, it deals damage equal to its power to target creature or player. We got a few ways to boost what your lands do. Basically, things to make things easy. Various cards to make building up a horde of beasts and other critters easier. We've also got Rhythm of the Wild. Now this is probably one of my favorite enchantments for any deck that has both red and green. Costs 1 and a red and a green. Creature spells you control can't be countered. Non-token creatures you control have Riot. They either enter the battlefield with your choice, or they enter the battlefield with your choice of either a +1/+1 counter or haste. Okay. Got a couple burn spells. We also have some spells to distribute +1/+1 counters, and we got, of course, the obligatory ramp spells, including Seething Song, one of the probably the best red, well, at least my favorite red ramp spell. Lay of the Land, Mulch, Rampant Growths, Savage Punch is in there mainly just to kind of help out to do some damage and other than combat damage. We've got Courage and Crisis for a little bit of proliferate action because we got some +1/+1 counter stuff in the deck, so proliferate's always good for those. We got Reap and Sow, Storm the Citadel, Green Sun's Zenith, Harmonize with some card draw, and of course we've got our lands. So we've got 18 basics, 9 mountains, 9 forests. Then we've got a command tower, always good to have in a commander deck. I think the only time I might not run a command tower would be if I'm running a monocolored deck. Nykthos, Shrine to Nyx, which is definitely good for getting a lot of mana out quickly. For those unaware, Nykthos, Shrine to Nyx is a legendary land. If you tap to add one generic mana to your mana pool, or you can spend 2 and tap it and choose a color. Add to your mana pool an amount of mana of that color equal to your devotion to that color. Devotion to a color is the number of mana symbols of that color in the mana costs of permanents you control. So you can't count things like a costly ability that includes colored mana. Just the just the mana cost. Then we've got from the Jumpstart set, Thriving Bluff and Thriving Grove. I really like the Thriving cycle. So they each come into play tapped. As they enter the battlefield, you choose a color. In the case of Thriving Bluff, other than red, Thriving Grove, other than green. You can then tap to add either with Thriving Bluff, red, Thriving Grove, green, or 1 mana of the chosen color. So yeah, with Thriving Bluff you'll choose green. Thriving Grove you choose red. It gives you way to have another card that can give you either or, whichever you need. Then we got Gruul Turf, Mossfire Valley, Gruul Guildgate, Rootbound Crag, Rugged Highlands, Sheltered Thicket, Stomping Ground, Looming Spires, and Fertile Thicket. But I haven't had a chance to play test this yet. Yet being the operative word. But hopefully at some point I can. Preferably sooner rather than later, but we'll see how events all play out. I'm going to try and do another deck overview next week. Might be a mono black deck, might not be. I've got a mono black deck to look at, but maybe we'll do something else. We'll see. I might save the mono black deck till October, till next month. But anyway, that's gonna do it for now. Let me know what you thought of this deck in the comments below. As I mentioned, the link to the deck list is on Moxfield is in the description, as are links to my Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, and PayPal. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. This is Rock and Roll Spock signing off, saying, live long and rock hard.